Today's Bible reading is John chapter 3, verse 1 to 21. Jesus teaches Nicodemus. Now, there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a member of the Jewish ruling council. He came to Jesus at night and said, "Rabbi, we know you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one could perform the miraculous signs you are doing if God were not with him." In reply, Jesus declared, "I tell you the truth, no one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again." "How can a man be born again when he is old?" Nicodemus asked. "Surely he cannot enter a second time into his mother's womb to be born." Jesus answered, "I tell you the truth, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and of the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to spirit. You should not be surprised at my sayings. You must be born again. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit." "How can this be?" Nicodemus asked. "You are Israel's teacher," said Jesus, "and you do not understand these things. I tell you the truth. We speak of what we know, and we testify what we have seen. But still, you people do not accept our testimony. I have spoken to you of earthly things, and you do not believe. How then will you believe if I speak of heavenly things? No one has ever gone into heaven except the man who came from heaven, the Son of Man. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the desert, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone who believes in him may have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but men loved darkness instead of light, because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light, and will not come into the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives in the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what he has done has been done through God.
Thank you very much, Rachel. That's a long bit of the Bible, and we're just going to think about one big bit of it today, and I'm going to pray again to ask for God's help as we think about it. Let me just say a quick prayer. Father God, thank you that the whole Bible is from you to us so that we can know about Jesus and have life. Please would you help us to see more of who Jesus is as we think about it just a little bit now together. Amen. Now, Jesus meets a guy called Nicodemus, and he has a conversation with him about how to have life. And the life he's talking about is the kind of life we were thinking about with that feast, the most amazing life with God that goes on forever and ever. It's the life we're made for, and it's brilliant. And Nicodemus is a great guy for us to hear Jesus talk to about this life, because he's the kind of person who we might think is best suited to have life with God forever, because Nicodemus is religious, really religious person, like some of us might be. He knows lots of things. He's got lots of stuff in his head. And he seems a pretty good person. He tries to live God's way. And so he looks like a pretty sorted guy. But Jesus says none of what Nicodemus has, none of that's any use for trying to get life with God in his amazing feast. And instead, Jesus tells Nicodemus that he needs to be born again. He needs new life. He needs to be born again. And so we're going to go to a maternity ward and think about this together, okay? This is an amazing bit of the Bible, and the maternity ward is the best place to think about it. And what I've got here is a bed for someone who wants to come and pretend to be a new mum, but you've got to be little enough that the table doesn't collapse. When Eloise, can you come be a mum? Here we are. Nice, clean sheets. And I'll hold it while you get up. Ooh, there we go. Have a lie down. Brilliant. Keep your shoes on. No need to take them off. There we go. It's going to be hard work for you, I confess. But here we go. Now we've got our prospective mum here. I also need someone to be the midwife. Okay? Anybody who think they're going to be good at midwifery, which means you help the baby be born. You don't have to do very much. Lauren, come and be our midwife. Here, midwife will carry a big book, okay, to tell her all about giving birth to babies. I confess that one tells you more about woodwork than giving birth to babies, but what can you do? Now I want someone to come and be a prospective dad, okay? And this is quite a small role today. Come on, Joseph, come and be dad. Your job, Joseph, and I know this is not really how it works, but your job is to stand here and do nothing, okay? So if you stand here, no, this side, you're far too close to the action there. Here you are. Stand here, and there you go. So what we've got is we've got the mum who's going to work really hard, because mums work really hard when they have babies. That's about the extent of my knowledge. Mums work really... So look, Eloise already kind of exhausted, okay? She's probably been in labour for hours, working very hard. The midwife, she's here because she knows loads about giving birth to babies. She's the one full of head knowledge, and the dad just stands there. And sometimes people think that these are three possible ways of getting life with God. Maybe to get life with God, we need to work really, really hard. Maybe work really hard at being good. Maybe work really hard at going to church. Do loads of stuff for God. Maybe do charity things. Just be really, really nice to people for ages. That's how we'll get life from God. Maybe that's it. Other people think what we need to get life from God is to know loads of things about God. Maybe read our Bibles all the time. Be full of head knowledge about what God's like. If we know what God's like, maybe that's what will get us life. Other people think we just need to be like Dad over here. We don't need to do anything for life. We just have it already. We just get it by just standing there and doing nothing. But Jesus says to Nicodemus that none of these things are what you do for life, because it's not about hard work or lots of knowledge or just simply standing here and existing. Instead, we need to be born again. So let me read what Jesus says. It's in chapter 3, verse 3. He says this: I tell you the truth. No one can see the kingdom of God. No one can have life that's going to be like that amazing feast unless they are born again. So no one can have God's forever life unless they're born again. Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because we know that everybody eventually dies. And so we know that if we're going to have a life that goes on forever, it will need to be a new life. So kind of the idea of being born again maybe works. But who gets new life in a maternity ward? It's not the mum who comes out with a new life, is it? So it's not the one who works hard. And it's not the midwife who comes out with a new life. They're midwife when they arrive, and they're midwife when they go home. And it's not the dad who gets a new life. Instead, cunning little trick here. It's a baby! Look at that. I'm throwing it around like a... Here, hold your new baby. Dad, you can go and look at the new baby if you're interested. The one on a maternity ward who gets new life is the baby. And they didn't do anything at all for it. They did nothing at all to get that life. They didn't even exist before they were conceived. And so the baby is a perfect picture of how you get life from Jesus. Because we can't get it ourselves. We need God to give it to us. And so the baby shows us how we get that life that gets us to be in that amazing feast. And now we're going to think a little bit about how it is Jesus who gets us that new life that's being like being born again. So you guys can have a sit down. I'm going to get you guys to sit down. Oh, let's take the midwifery book and put it back over here. Someone will need that in the future. I'll keep baby up here if I can, because keep him where he's going to be looked after, him or her. Fascinating, that baby came out with clothes on, isn't it? I didn't read that in my woodwork book. Now, if we were throwing, I want to know, if you were throwing the most amazing party you've ever thrown, what kind of people would you invite to your party? Okay, who would you invite to your party if you're throwing a party? Who can tell me? Who do you invite to your party? William, who do you invite? Luke. You invite Luke because he's your friend, right? You invite your friends to your party, right? You invite people that you like, and you invite your friends. That is what people tend to do on parties. And you might expect that God would do the same. Everybody would want to be at God's party, but you might think God would just invite his friends, people who've treated him well and who loved him and lived in his world as they should. In other words, you might expect that God would only invite people like Jesus. Because Jesus was a man who lived perfectly and who loved perfectly and who loved God perfectly. And you might think the only person who's going to get it to be in God's party forever is Jesus and anyone that could be like him. But that is not what God says, which is great news, because the problem for people like you and me is we're not as good as Jesus. We don't treat God like a friend like Jesus did. And so if only friends of God got to be in God's party, that would be really hard. But verse 16 in our reading said something amazing about God's love for us. It said this: God so loved the world that he gave us something amazing. Did anyone hear what he gave us in the reading? William, what did he give us? He gave us his only son. God so loved the world that he gave us his only son. That is Jesus. And Jesus is the biggest gift God could have given us. And Jesus died so that we could have life. Can I have two people to come and be volunteers? Someone to be Jesus and someone to be me. Naomi, you can come and be Jesus. Who wants to be me? Reuben, you can come and be me. Here you go. Naomi, you stand over here. Because Naomi's playing the part of Jesus here, she's the one who you think she'd get to have life with God forever. And because Reuben's playing the part of me, you think I wouldn't get to have life with God forever. When I die, I'm going to have a forever death. I'm not going to be God's friend. But here's the amazing thing that God did when he sent Jesus and that Jesus did for us. Jesus took my death and he gave me his life. Jesus died so that this is me, so that I could have life with God forever in his amazing party. He died so that he could do that for us. And that's what we're going to think more about on our holiday club this summer. The most amazing feast, life with God forever. And how Jesus is the one that means we can have life with him. We could never get it ourselves because we needed God to give it. Like we needed God to give us life the first time. We need to be born again like babies. And so the way God does it is through Jesus. Anyone who believes in Jesus can have life with God forever. It's like the most amazing feast. Thank you, you two. You can have a seat. I'm going to say a prayer to God, and then we're going to sing again. Give the baby a little stroke. That's right. Have a seat. Father God, thank you so much that you tell us how to have life with you, a life we could never get ourselves. We need to be born again. Thank you that Jesus came so that we could be. Thank you that we can have life with you because of him. Amen.